Okay guys, so today we are going to look at a test-taking strategy that is called previewing the questions. You've probably heard some teachers talk about it before, but today we're going to go into what exactly that means. So what I've created for you guys is a graphic organizer. Now on Park, you're not going to get a graphic organizer like this, but you can easily create one yourself. All you have to do is draw a line down the center and then a couple lines across. So what I want you to do right now is rip apart your graphic organizer and your questions and set them side by side so you can see them at the same time. So what I have here is the first question. Now you'll notice I put the answer choices here, but we're going to ignore those for the time being. So our question is, based on the passage, what can you infer about the character of Mrs. Bennet? Now I've highlighted the word infer because that's the first thing I'm looking at. I know that I'm going to have to make an inference. Now an inference is something that is not going to be directly stated in the text. So the next thing I'm thinking about is, what am I making an inference about? And what I'm making an inference about is a character. And then I think, which character am I making an inference about? And I see that I'm making an inference about the character of Mrs. Bennet. So now I'm going to take all that information and put it right into my graphic organizer. And I'm not going to write the full question. I'm just going to say character, Mrs. Bennet, and inference in parentheses to remind myself that it's not going to be directly stated. Pause the video now and write that in to your graphic organizer. Now the second question just says, which of the following lines spoken by Mrs. Bennet helped to support your responses to the previous question? So all that this question is looking for is a quote. So all I'm going to write for that question is quote. While I'm reading, I may find one that works. I might not. It might have to go back to it, but I'm just going to leave that space blank for now. Pause the video now and write that in. Now our next question is a full question and has 4 answers, but I'm going to skip the answers and just look at the question itself. My question asks, Pride and Prejudice is a British novel written in 1813. Based on the passage above, what can you infer about societal norms or attitudes towards women during this time period? So the first thing I'm looking at is that I'm making another inference. It's not going to be directly stated. So next, as a good reader, I'm thinking, what am I making an inference about? So I see that I'm going to be making an inference about societal norms or attitudes. And what societal norms means, it means what is normal for that particular society, or what is that society's attitude towards something. And next I'm looking at, well, what is it towards? What are they asking for? And they're talking about what are that society's attitudes towards women. And I know that they might be different than current day societies. So I'm going to write that exactly into my graphic organizer. Go ahead and pause the video and write that in now. Now on to my last question. Once again, I'm going to skip those answers and just look at the question itself. My question is saying, based on the passage above and the role of women in society at the time, what can you infer is the author's intended meaning of the first line? It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. So the first thing I'm looking at is I notice that I'm going to have to look at the passage and the last question about what the role of women in society was. And next I see that I'm going to be looking at what the author's intended meaning of the first line is. So I'm going to write in my graphic organizer that I should look at question 3 and I should think about the author's intended meaning of that first line. Go ahead and pause the video and write that in now. Now that you've done that, you can read and take notes. So you're going to take notes on the right-hand side of that graphic organizer, and you're going to directly take notes on the questions that you're going to need to answer. Then when you go to answer the questions, you have your notes right in front of you, and it takes some of the guesswork out of it. So you're going to end this video, read, take notes, and see if you can answer the questions. Once you're done with that, ask me for an answer key, and we'll check them over and see how you did. Good work, team.